everybody says, let me take a step back, and everybody says the same thing. There's a talking point, we're going to fight Trump, right? Like that's the, okay. And I feel like some people tune that out a little bit. Here I want to just outline 3 things that I think are really important because they speak to that specific things that I believe that the governor can do and that I would do, okay? And that are important to you, that are different than anybody else. The first is, in this era, okay, the reason that I've outlined who the Attorney General is, historically in New Jersey, the Attorney General is appointed by the governor. It's the way it works in New Jersey. It's unique. And it's a political appointment often. They appoint somebody that's their friend that protects them. That's generally the way it works. Matt Plotkin, who is there today, is recognized nationally at the forefront of the litigation against Donald Trump and the federal government taking things away from us. And I do believe that continuity is very, very important for the state of New Jersey at this moment in time. Having a new Attorney General come in and being disruptive in something that we don't know, particularly when a lot of things are at risk, per your point, is not good for anybody. So I stand alone in that I would allow him and let him, and I think he would, stay to continue the job, number one. Number two is, Phil has raised the surplus in the state. When Christie left, the surplus was $500 million, okay? And that's why we had all of those credit rating downgrades, if you remember, over time, because $500 million, relatively speaking, is not a lot of money. So today, in this budget, it's $6 billion. He's raised it to $6 billion, and that's a good thing. It's helped the credit rating upgrades. But what I say that's different than the others, and this is just how I act also as a mayor, understanding this and being responsible for a budget, is that I do think that we are at a moment in time that you have to consider drawing down on that surplus sum in order to offset some of these losses from the federal government. You have people that rely on Medicaid, as an example, that are life and death conversations. And look, it's just a guess, but I assume that nobody here in this room goes to bed at night saying, thank God the credit rating of New Jersey is XYZ, right? I don't think so, right? But you do think about the fact about whether your Social Security is going to be gone, your Medicaid is going to be gone, and you got to start to think about the most vulnerable communities in that category of who do we need to offset. You're not going to be able to offset the entire decrease or potential decrease in Medicaid or social, if he was to do that. But some of it, you could go a long way on it. What we've done in Jersey City is we have roughly $60 million that are at risk with federal dollars, and we prioritize. We're in this process right now. We have things like use Meals on Wheels, which is what we deliver senior meals, right? We do 250,000 of those a year, okay? And that's federal dollars that passes through. It's a priority. Obviously, it's food, versus maybe some environmental things that are important to me, but less pertinent in this moment in time versus food. So we're going through that process now, and I don't think that Trenton is doing a good job on that. I mean, I'm going to tell you why, because if you think about it practically, I mean, they should be having town halls, they should be having hearings every single week. This is what's at risk. This is what we're discussing. This is the solution. There hasn't been one, okay? Hasn't been one from the Assembly or the Senate, and that's a problem. But I do think that it's healthy to go through those conversations. We're doing it now, and we would use the surplus to offset some of that stuff, okay? Oh, the third thing that I think is really important that's different is that, you know, we call our federal representatives all the time, and you complain, right? People feel good. You call Chris Smith, you yell at him. You call Jeffrey Andrew, you yell at him, right? Like, that's like what people do. And you're like, yeah, I told that guy, right? It's like an aide, right? It's like a poor aide on the phone that may not even be a Republican. But put that aside for a second. I don't think we do a good enough job, and our leadership in Trenton doesn't do a good enough job in pushing the protections that we can have as a governor and as a state. So we don't call enough the fact that you have a Democratic governor, Democratic state senator, and Democratic state senate and Democratic state assembly. That's your first line of protection. So you have things like the Immigrant Trust Act, which has gone nowhere. It should move forward, because if you're going to protect immigrants in New Jersey, then that's the legislation to do that. There's stuff around gender identity. There's stuff around women's reproductive rights. There's stuff that they're reluctant to push, and we don't do a good enough job pushing them. And I think the governor could do a better job of being more vocal, saying that we're going to stand up on these sort of certain things. And so I think we're a little different on those.
Vote for Steve on June 10th. He's working for all of us.